This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Electric vehicles have been one of the bright spots in sales the last few years, but according to Bloomberg NEF, they're expected to slow this year compared to the last 2 years. In 2020, automakers sold 3.2 million EVs globally. That jumped to 10 million in 2022, including plug-in hybrids. This year, Bloomberg expects plug-in sales to reach 13.6 million vehicles, with BEVs accounting for 75% of sales. China is expected to account for 8 million passenger EVs sold, even though it phased out subsidies, while the US is estimated to hit 1.6 million plug-in sales. There are now 27 million EVs on the road globally, and they're estimated to pass 40 million by the end of the year, making them account for 3% of the total global fleet. Tesla significantly cut the prices of its vehicles in the US. The Model 3 and Model Y saw prices slashed anywhere between 6 to 20% depending on the configuration, which now makes some of them eligible for the $7,500 tax credit. The Model Y long range now costs about $53,000, down from nearly $66,000. And the Model 3 Performance now costs around $54,000, down from $63,000. Model S pricing was cut by $10,000, and the Model X is now $11,000 cheaper. But it's not just the US either. Tesla also significantly cut prices in Europe. While Tesla sales were up solidly in 2022, it did fall short of Wall Street and its own delivery target for the year. Back in October, Honda and LG Energy Solution announced plans to build a battery plant in Ohio, and now the two companies have officially formed a joint venture to produce the lithium-ion batteries. Construction of the plant kicks off this year, and they're aiming to start mass production by the end of 2025. The plant will have an annual production capacity of 40 gigawatt hours, and all the batteries produced by that plant will be for Honda's EVs sold in North America. Honda and LG are investing a total of $4.4 billion in the joint venture.
At Schaeffler, we pioneer motion. Electrifying mobility, manufacturing smarter, reducing CO2 emissions, making energy production clean. Schaeffler pioneers motion to advance how the world moves.
We've got some more details on Mazda's Rotary range extender, and the big news for us is that the engine will provide power directly to the wheels in certain scenarios, like the Chevrolet Volt. It's a series plug-in hybrid setup with the new rotary engine positioned on the same axle as the electric motor. Mazda also slashed the battery size. The MX-30 EV comes with a 35.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack, but the range-extended version, which has a mouthful of a name, MX-30 e-Skyactiv REV, only comes with a 17.8 kilowatt-hour battery. It's rated at 85 kilometers, or about 53 miles, on the WLTP test cycle, while the pure EV version has about 100 miles, or 160 kilometers, of EPA range. But no word yet on price or availability. Buick is getting another Ultium-based EV for China. It's called the Electra-E4, and we think it's just a fastback version of the Electra-E5, which recently made its debut on the market. It's damn near the same size as the E5 and actually shares a stronger resemblance with the Electra-X concept. The E4 is powered by either a single 180 kilowatt electric motor that drives the rear wheels or two 180 kilowatt units that provide all-wheel drive. Sales are set to launch in the second half of this year. Toyota and Lexus have a couple of interesting concepts to highlight from the Tokyo Auto Show, and let's start with the Lexus RZ Sport concept, which could change a few minds about Lexus's electrification efforts. Instead of one 150 kilowatt motor in the front and one 80 kilowatt motor in the rear, like the production EV, The Concept gets two 150 kilowatt electric motors. It's also wider, longer, and lower, and features 4 full bucket seats and a custom aero kit. And now let's shift to Toyota, who took a couple of versions of the Corolla called the AE86 from the early to mid 1980s and converted one to hydrogen and the other to electric. The hydrogen version actually uses a 1600cc twin-cam 16-valve 4-cylinder engine fed by 2 Mirai hydrogen tanks mounted in the trunk. The EV version gets its electric motor from the hybrid Tundra and its battery pack from the Prius plug-in. But more excitingly, the car retains its manual transmission. The brands say their theme for this year's show is leaving no car lovers behind.
We want to know what drives your testing. OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
All week long, we've been highlighting some of the best technology we saw at CES, and Sabic makes a very powerful case as to why its battery pack, made from a material called Stamax, which is made from polypropylene, a flame retardant, and glass fibers, is the ideal material for EVs. Polypropylene is inexpensive, glass adds strength and insulates the pack, and of course the flame retardant protects the battery from fires. It can withstand temperatures of 1100 degrees Celsius or over 2000 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 minutes, and it does that without any thermal blankets or mica sheets. The plastic pack also eliminates any welding or fasteners, so it offers lighter weight, lower cost, and better protection against thermal runaway. Cadillac showed off the final design of its hybrid race cars that will compete in the IMSA and FIA World Endurance Series. The liveries of the LMDh race cars are blue, red, and yellow. They're powered by a 5.5-liter V8 that's combined with the LMDh hybrid system and is paired with a 7-speed sequential transmission. That setup cranks out 670 horsepower. The race cars make their debut later this month at the 24 Hours of Daytona, and they'll also compete at the 12 Hours of Sebring and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But that brings us to the end of today and this week's worth of shows. I hope you have a great weekend.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And by Scheffler, we pioneer motion. Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details, and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.